How long does it take to progress through vBRP and get the Trifecta? For me, it took about 3 months. So 3 months ago, I started running vBRP a little more seriously, and I would join different groups with a friend. So there would be like 2 or 3 of us that would get on at the same time and start running BRP, and then we would post in the group finder for the second or third or fourth person. And, you know, public open runs tend to be a mixed bag, but that's okay, right? The whole point is to just run it for fun, to get reps, to get used to the arena, to appreciate the arena and all of the abuse that it inflicts on you. Finally, right, when the 4 of us were able to get together, someone said, hey, this weekend, let's try for Unchained. So it's about 3 months, right, of that prep, of just running intermittently, and then finally on the weekend, putting aside a large chunk of time to dedicate to just resetting on death, trying again, improving over each death, and then we take a break. So the first hour and a half, we reset on death, warm up, take a break, another hour and a half, keep running until we finally got the Trifecta. Another thing to note is that BRP takes about 30 minutes to clear, if that's considered a good clear, whereas your hard mode dungeon takes only about 15 minutes. So already BRP takes twice as long to just finish. This is incredibly mentally taxing on everyone, especially on the tank. And as a healer, I have the best defense and burst heals on command, so I would take it upon myself to watch the field for the common killers of our group. This could be archers, the netches coming, move. Alright, everything to prevent people from dying. Play defensively and hold it together until you can get through the no-death portion. For this first arena, it's pretty simple compared to the other arenas, so I'm going to focus on pushing damage. I slot Shimmering Shield to generate more ulti so I can Warhorn and just get through the trash pulls as quickly as possible. We don't really have difficulty on this round. I do keep an eye out for archers and run to bash them if needed. It is not worth letting someone get sniped on that, and I have to be honest, most DPS are kind of tunnel visioned, and they will not run to get the archers, so you will have to do that, just as insurance. I mostly use spell power pots off CD to get the sorcery and crit chance, and this allows me to have really big fat heals on everyone, and no one should be dying. Unfortunately, this might also make your DPS fall asleep because they're so used to having their HP topped off, so you might have to scare them a little to keep them awake. I'm joking, don't actually scare them like that. If you want to keep them awake, you might have to say something like, alright guys, keep it together, don't fall asleep. Before heading into Arena 2, I do swap my skills real quick. So as the Warden healer, I would put on the Netch for the extra sustain passive that it activates, and also Purge. There is a passive in the support line that also increases your mag regen. You do need the efficient Purge morph. That is absolutely necessary. It's important to call for the Netches and prevent getting sandwiched by them. Using Barrier when problematic monsters spawn with Tames the Beast. So probably after the troll dies and when the Hajmoda spawns. The safe strat is to kill the ads. That gives a tank a little bit of an easier time, but it does drag out the fight. Okay, I'm gonna horn. We gotta kill this dude. And introduce more opportunities for mistake. So it's up to the tank if they want a faster burn or not. We did have to end up killing the Wamasu because in this run we got bug bomb at the last minute. A lot of on-the-fly decisions need to be made here. So if you had to take home one piece of advice, it's
Avatar, creating the legend.
The airbenders are using a style called bagua, or circle walking. The feet are like...
On Arena 3 with the Lady Vampire boss, you kind of want to coordinate ultis when she gets to around 30% HP, but it's not necessary. Because, again, in this run, I kind of fumbled the ulti callouts. So we still got a Colossus at the end, but no big deal. As long as the DPS prioritize the Colossus and everyone gets the bash, and people stay near the middle and do not accidentally take any of the toilets. The fourth arena is the hardest part of this dungeon. On round 2, wave 2, that's when the battle mage boss spawns, and there's 2 fire mages that spawn on each side of the arena. Either the tank or the healer casts barrier, then you have to split up. So as a healer, you go to one fire mage and keep track of her, so that when she starts channeling her fireballs, you can bash her. If that doesn't happen, and the other fire mage should be getting bashed by someone else. It could be the tank, it could be the DPS. There's different strats here, but typically the DPS are going to follow the tank. So if the tank stays in the middle, one DPS will stay in the middle to clear the adds from the tank, and the other one will go to the other. It's just a matter of getting used to this pull. So this is the most difficult trash pull. As for the boss fights, so what we do is we DPS the battle mage. And then when Tames is about to spawn, and you see that light portal, that's when the necro tank drops a Colossus. And as a healer, I cast barrier. And then the DPS start ulti dumping. So this will push Tames to spawn more adds, which is why the barrier is helpful. And then the DPS need to focus on the battle mage, and then focus on Tames. And then the Lady Minara or whatever is going to come out, and the tank will have to start running around like a little bit out of the group. So again, this is also the most dangerous part of the fourth arena. Once Tames dies, all of his mobs despawn. The tank can bring Minara back to the center, or if she's about to do her Bat Swarm AoE, kite her off to the side and then bring her back to the center. Her mechanics are the same as the third arena, and it should be smooth sailing from here.
I have no stam, holy crap.
Okay, so for the fifth arena, the final arena, the most problematic part is probably going to be the trash pulls, to be honest. So if you can help out with bashes on the ads, that's great. Pretty much everyone needs to help out with bashes unless you have a DK using the AoE interrupt from Deep Breath or some other class with an AoE interrupt. A lot of it is roll dodging the AoEs and not getting hit by the little purple tumbleweeds that come out, because those hurt a lot. Yeah, that's why I basically leave block casts pretty much 50% of the time. Like every other button press is block for me.
Damage taken. Me. Where is it? Void. Oh god. It does 22.1k while I was blocking.
So round 4 has the hardest ad pull. For the first wave of mobs, I asked our necro tank to use Colossus so that the little ads with the two-hander cleave can just die and nobody has to worry about that. Second wave is the 2 bigger souls, but they're noticeable, so you can bash them pretty easily if you need to. I would barrier for that. And then finally, the third round, there's the Lich, but the Lich has well-telegraphed AoEs and is really not as dangerous as like the little mobs that just kind of randomly, I don't know what it is, but sometimes they just kind of glitch out and then you're dead, right? Like there's kind of like, they barely have a cleave showing and then you're dead, right? Or they barely do an animation and you're dead. So that's the most annoying part of round 4, are those little mobs that do a lot more damage than you'd expect. And finally, on the boss fight, the most important part is having enough ultimate to use barrier after the ghost phase. So if anyone calls out, I messed up the ghosts, or whatever, you can barrier and keep trucking through.
I can probably burn. Oh, shit. Nice. Do you want the... Congratulations to everyone. Does anyone... Bro, that was like 1 month, dude. That was like 3 months for me. What the fuck? That felt like 3 months. Okay, perfected mace. Anyone want it? dual wield? No.
As for sets, the main sets are SPC, Powerful Assault, and Symphony of Blades. The scribing skill is a Warding Contigency with the damage shield, a tiny heal over time, and minor protection because we did not have that in our group. Your back bar is an infused lightning staff for off balance and for proccing shock damage, which then procs minor vulnerability as a part of the shock status effect. Your front bar is the Master's Perfected Resto, Decisive, and Absorb Mag. This entire loadout helps everyone with their sustain. Since sustain is one of the top ways to survive in 4-man content such as BRP. And finally, Expert Evasion CP will also help with sustain, especially as a mag tune with a tiny stamina pool. You have to be a bit more judicious in your roll dodging. Sometimes it's better to block cast and take the damage mitigation than it is to waste your stamina. And then I have 2 medium armors. This helps, again, with stamina, sustain, roll dodging. As for enchants, you do want reduced spell cost. This is the most effective as long as you're casting 1 skill off of global cooldown every second. I used to have 3 spell cost enchants, but I felt like my mag recovery was not as good during downtime. So you at least want 2, especially if you are a damage race like a high elf and not a Breton. You have a very standard healing CPs, and then the ritual for fat heals. This is pretty much the end of the video. I have nothing else to add. If you have any tips or tricks, let us know in the comments below, and that's greatly appreciated. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and until next time, goodbye.